Hello, today we'll be comparing Adidas and Asics, two global leaders in the sportswear industry. I will be presenting the brand overviews, customer segmentation analysis, and social and environmental impacts. My partner Sebastien will be presenting the environmental and brand analysis, customer personas, and finally, we'll summarize the presentation for us. Adidas and Asics have very different approaches shaped by their missions and values. Adidas positions itself as the best sports brand in the world, with a vision of creating the best designs. Their core values emphasize courage, ownership, innovation, and fair play, highlighting performance and global leadership. Asics, on the other hand, focuses more on lifestyle and well-being. Their mission is to promote healthy and fulfilling lives, and their vision centers on creating quality lifestyles through intelligent sport technology. Their core value, anima sana in corpore sano, meaning a sound mind in a sound body, reflects the holistic view of sport as a balance between physical performance and mental health. So while Adidas drives towards market dominance and innovation, Asics emphasizes wellness, balance, and long-term health benefits. Now that we've compared the company's missions, visions, and values, let's look at their histories. Adidas, founded in Germany in 1949, has a rich history that reflects both innovation and resilience. They became synonymous with football after supplying boots to the winning World Cup team in 1954, allowing them to exclusively produce the official FIFA World Cup ball since the 1970s. Over the decades, Adidas pioneered with products that were both functional and fashionable, from the functional Micro Pacer, which was a computer-integrated shoe, to their most recent style partnership with Gucci. Adidas has faced challenges over the years, including leadership changes resulting from the deaths of the founding family and financial struggles in the 1990s. The brand was able to bounce back with bold marketing and global expansion. Key moves like acquiring Reebok in 2006 and launching a streetwear division expanded Adidas beyond sport into lifestyle. Adidas's timeline shows a consistent theme, adapting to culture and fashion-driven shifts, driving sports innovation, and staying relevant across generations. Now let's turn to Asics. Their history is rooted in Japan, beginning with three independent companies that merged to form the Asics brand, who differentiated themselves from the beginning by focusing on biomechanics and scientific research in sport, even establishing their own research institute in the 1990s to study athletic performance. Throughout its lifespan, Asics expanded internationally, with subsidiaries in the US, Europe, and Australia, during which time they launched innovative products and services like the Peddler walking shoe and specialty running stores. The brand consistently positions itself as a leader in equipment design that was supported by science. Recently, Asics has diversified, acquiring fitness tracking apps like Runkeeper, sponsoring para-athletes, and even developing the lightest CO2e emissions sneaker. While Adidas has positioned itself as a bold, globally dominant innovator, expanding into culture and fashion, Asics has stayed closer to sports science, well-being, and lifestyle health. This contrast sets up an interesting comparison, not just their products, but also in how they engage with customers, communities, and the environment. To help understand how these companies operate and compete, we need to step back and look at the wider environment. The next section will cover the environmental and brand analysis, comparing Adidas and Asics on a micro-environmental scale. Over to you, Sebastien.
So I'll be talking to you guys today about the micro and macro environmental analysis. First, I'll be identifying ASICS company's capabilities, suppliers, competitors, and partners. So ASICS is committed to environmental sustainability. The company recognizes that most of its environmental impacts are linked to two things: manufacturing processes, and for apparel, washing during use. So some of the key initiatives that they've included are achieving 85% renewable electricity in Tier 1 supplier factories and reaching 100% renewable energy sourcing by 2030. That's their capabilities. Their technological improvements have been very notable. The company holds a sizable portfolio of intellectual property rights, which both protects its investments in innovation and provide funding for future R&D activities. They also recognize consumers seek not only high-performance footwear, but also shoes that help alleviate pain and discomfort. Since 2021, the company has implemented a plan to expand its catalog of running shoes to suit all types of athletes, including what they've recently launched, a pickleball footwear. So their suppliers include Tier 1 suppliers across 22 countries, including in Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Cambodia, China, and El Salvador, and many more. So they're very everywhere. Their retailers include things like Foot Locker, Sports Power, major online platforms such as the iconic and mercandy.com.au. Of course, some of their competitors include Adidas, Nike, Puma, Reebok, Under Armour, and New Balance. They're very tailored to the footwear brand, so obviously those are going to be their competitors. Some of their partners include the World Athletics, Sports Medicine Australia, and of course some sustainability sponsors such as Better Work, the Social and Labor Convergence Program, ASSC, JP Mire, and SGI. So now for Adidas. So Adidas' capabilities, they have established several sustainable goals, including achieving 100% recycled polyester by 2024. Their technology platforms include such as Boost, Lightstrike, and Clima. So they invest a lot in technology innovation. Their partners, they have numerous partners, including the Mercedes, AMG, Petronas F1 team, the New South Wales Rugby League, the French Rugby Federation, the Ukrainian Association of Football, Texas Tech University, and many more. Adidas's competitors include those of ASICS, but it's important to note that both brands also operate in the clothing industry, which brings additional competitors such as Lululemon. So now to go to their macro environmental analysis, so the PESTEL framework here. So Adidas politically have had to shift their trade policies due to tariffs and import-export regulations in key markets like the US, Europe, and Asia. So for example, US-China trade tensions have been pretty stiff lately, and that can affect their capability of working with those two markets. Economically, they have the retail sector shifting increasingly towards online shopping, and the performance of major distribution and retail partners are directly impacted, which makes it so that Adidas needs to probably reassess their supply chain and how they are going to get the product to the consumer. Socially, social media has become a primary marketing channel that they need to use, but they have to be very creative since not a lot of brands are doing it, and there are many more brands these days that are using social media, so you have to find a way to stand out. Next up, technology. So since 2023, digital and direct-to-consumer platforms have significantly impacted Adidas, particularly by enhancing e-commerce capabilities. And Adidas has started integrating AI to better understand consumer preferences and behavior, allowing for personalized product recommendations. Legal, there's a lot of things to say about legal, but we'll talk about the consumer protection laws, which they have to make sure that the product is safe and high quality, meaning the certain standards, meaning that they have to have insurance on these products to ensure that the consumer is not getting something that's a bad product. Environmental, so water usage is pretty high when it comes to shoes, especially with the dyeing of the fabric dyeing of the shoes. So Adidas since 2012 has implemented dry dye technology, which uses pressurized carbon dioxide instead of water to dye textiles, reducing energy consumption by approximately 50% compared to conventional methods. So now let's talk about ASICS. So ASICS is headquartered in Japan, which means that a lot of their supply chain comes from there, which means that import tariffs are very much affecting them, such as it was in 2021 when they had import tariffs on footwear were around 30% for specific categories. Also, the United States is not a big contributor to that because they also have 25% on Chinese imports, where they also have a lot of shoes that are made there. So they're going to have to work around that stuff. Economic factors. So the cost of raw materials, including rubber and textiles, are a critical factor as prices have surged in recent years. Social factors. So the global population is aging. As you'll see, ASICS is more tailored to a more aging population as well. But increasing demand for comfort-oriented products rather than purely styled-focused items. Technological factors. So what's really interesting is that they utilize 3D printing and robotics in its production process, enabling faster prototyping and reducing waste. For example, ASICS has implemented ASICS Fluid Fit, which uses stretchable materials to create a personalized fit for consumers. Legal factors, interestingly, something that all companies must do, they have to have patents. So here, ASICS holds over 600 patents and invests approximately $15 million annually in IP litigation and protection strategies to combat counterfeiting, which is something we'll talk about in the SWOT analysis. So environmental factors. So there are increasing natural disasters due to climate change strain, economic resources in 2021. Climate-related events resulted in additional costs estimated at $15 million, which is so they have strengths when it comes to ASICS, so driving innovation through the ASICS Institute of Sports Science. Weaknesses, market expansion is challenging as the brand is highly specific to sport enthusiasts. Opportunities, so expand brand image to support holistic health and wellness, a trend that is increasing in popularity in our society. The threats, of course, brand damage and revenue loss due to counterfeit products, including competition from companies like Temu offering cheaper alternatives, which is something that they really need to watch out for. Also, Adidas does as well. Counterfeit products are a big thing these days. And so let's move on to Adidas. So Adidas has strengths such as a diverse product portfolio, broader than ASICS, allowing Adidas to serve a wider market base. Some of their weaknesses include the lack of presence in emerging markets such as India, Brazil, and Africa. But of course, the opportunity is to expand in those markets. And the threats, of course, are also the counterfeit products these days. are we positioned in here? So based on the analysis above, Adidas is positioned as a high quality brand that emphasizes both performance and style. Its products are slightly more expensive than ASICS, but just by a little bit. ASICS is well known for its technological advancements in footwear, though it is less recognized for style. Both brands offer affordable options without compromising on quality. Adidas slightly edges ahead in perceived quality due to its stylish design, while ASICS maintains a strong reputation for technological innovation. Both brands' products are generally priced between 110 and 160, which consider them premium for sports shoes, although not the top end of the list like Nike. So this is where they would be positioned in the graph, as you can see on the PowerPoint. So thank you. I'll hand over to my colleague, Abby, for the rest of the presentation.
Thanks, Sebastien. Comparing customer segmentation between Adidas and ASICS clearly show the difference in who they target and their strategies of engagement. Starting with Adidas, who target trend-orientated millennials and Gen Z, typically between 18 and 30 years old. Demographically, these are younger students and new professionals with medium-level incomes. Geographically, they are concentrated in metropolitan areas coinciding with Adidas's strong presence in Europe, Asia, and North America. Psychographically, this segment is trend-driven, having a high social awareness and placing value in celebrity-endorsed products. They also strongly prioritize style, brand identity, and sustainability. Behaviorally, they purchase sneakers and sports apparel for casual and lifestyle wear and pay close attention to new product releases and access to limited product runs on social platforms and the Adidas app. Adidas engages this market through collaborations with partnering fashion houses, musicians, and influencers, and their marketing campaigns focus on inclusivity and lifestyle over performance and function. They utilize gamified engagement in their apps through sneaker reservations and fitness trackers. Adidas faces challenges in the form of performance competition against ASICS and style competition with other brands like Nike. They are overly reliant on collaborations with celebrities and struggle to maintain authenticity when balancing both fashion, sustainability, and function. In contrast, ASIC's core customer segmentation is performance-driven runners aged 25 to 45. Demographically, these are adults with moderate to high incomes and are usually professionals balancing careers and fitness. Geographically, they are concentrated in suburban areas where it's easy to access marathons, gyms, and running clubs. Psychographically, they are goal-driven, disciplined, and health-conscious, prioritizing reliability and injury prevention over fashion. Behaviorally, they are likely to purchase high-performance equipment, compete in marathons and weekly run clubs, and utilize running apps to track their performance. ASICS, partnering with marathons, local running clubs, and other public sporting events globally, offering expert training, injury prevention, and product recommendations using their gait analysis and foot scanning technologies. ASICS faces challenges in its low lifestyle and fashion appeal and its image as a niche performance-driven brand. These factors are detrimental to ASICS' ability to attract and cater to younger style-driven consumers. ASICS appeal to a mature performance-driven customer that prioritizes the function of science-based designs, while Adidas thrives on the younger style and trend-orientated consumers that prioritize style, culture, and brand identity. Now that we've identified the key customer segments for Adidas and ASICS, Sebastien has developed customer personas, which represent typical individuals within each segment to give you a clear picture of their demographic, lifestyle, buying habits, media use, communication preferences, and their constraints, fears, goals, and aspirations.
Now, persona development. So there are two people I want to talk about here. So let's just make up two different people. So we have Adidas customer persona person I want to talk about. Her name is Dakota Pierce. She's 23 years old. Her lifestyle is regularly practices yoga and spinning, prioritizes health and wellness. She prefers to buy high-priced, durable luxury items that offer long-term value. Media habits. She's a heavy user of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Follows fashion influencers, athletes, and lifestyle bloggers. Engages with brands through visual campaigns, reels, and collaborations. Communication preferences. Responds well to social media campaign. Influencer partnerships and email newsletters featuring early access product drops. Constraints and fears. She's concerned about missing on limited releases and fears paying premium prices for items that may quickly go out of style. The goals are to stay active, look fashionable, live sustainably, and maintain holistic health. Aspirations to be seen as confident, stylish, and socially connected as a young professional. So I say this is a very good picture of someone in this generation which is trying to look their best, feel their best, is paying more attention to their health, is going to yoga classes, is eating well and healthy. And I think that this is a very good market that Adidas should be looking towards, because it's increasingly growing in terms of the amount of people that participate in it. So this market has a lot of potential for Adidas. So it's not necessarily something you just want to add. It's not necessarily tailored towards athletes, but it does tailor to a wider market of people. So ASICS consumer persona. So the person I've made up, his name is John Johnstone. He's 30 years old, a little bit older. He's passionate about running, especially long distance, runs regularly, and is dedicated to improving performances. So he's most likely going to participate in like marathons and stuff like that. So buying habits. So purchases sparingly, prefers durable and long-lasting products, which with its technological advancement as the ASICS covers. Media habits, consumes long-form content such as YouTube gear reviews, running blogs, and Strava community updates. Strava is the app for running that everyone uses these days. Listens to running and wellness podcasts, uses social media infrequently, prefers detailed product information, performance comparisons, expert reviews, and training advice. Favors commercial, email newsletters, and app-based updates over flashy advertisements. So he's a little bit older. He likes something a little bit more sophisticated, of course, but also is very geared towards his sport. Constraints and fears. He's concerned about injury, poor shoe fit, or brand's positioning, prioritizing style over performance, which Adidas doesn't really do, but they put a little bit more emphasis on the style of it so they can charge a little bit more. Budget conscious, but willing to invest in proven performance gear. His goals are to improve running times, prevent injuries, and of course, as I said, train for full marathons. His aspirations, of course, is to achieve personal best, build resilience, and be recognized as a dedicated athlete, not just someone who is healthy, but an athlete.
Thanks, Sebastien. Both Adidas and ASICS demonstrate strong commitments to sustainability, corporate social responsibility, and ethical practices, but they manage and respond to these areas with different emphasis and scale. Starting with the environmental sustainability, Adidas has set ambitious science-based targets and are dramatically transparent about their targets and achievements, using the Science Based Target Initiative to validate and report their progress. Adidas aims to cut emissions across its operations and supply chains. Since 2022, they have successfully transitioned to 99% recycled polyester used in production, have replaced 18.5% of its energy consumption with renewable sources, and have achieved 20% reduction in their emissions. Adidas have other targets relating to water use, chemical safety, and responsibly sourced deforestation-free materials. ASICS have had sustainability goals since 2015, being the first sporting goods company to be validated by the Science Based Target Initiative. However, compared to Adidas, the progress they've made is at a much slower rate. They reduced their CO2 emissions by 43% in 2024, and renewable energy accounts for 36.8% of their total energy used. ASICS have incorporated recycled polyester into over 40% of their global productions. They committed to stopping using kangaroo leather by 2025, but Adidas had already stopped purchasing the material days before the announcement. In terms of corporate social responsibility, Adidas's well-developed framework contains human rights due diligence, supplier audits, and worker voice platforms. They're open about the risks of sourcing from high-risk regions, but also outline a strategy of prevention, mitigation, and remediation to correct violations within their supply chain. ASICS built CSR into its philosophy of a sound mind in a sound body, focusing on community health and well-being. They emphasize ethical sourcing and supplier engagement, though their transparency on worker rights reporting is less visible than Adidas. ASIC's CSR policy is a good one, but when compared to Adidas, ASICS only encourages their supply chain to share their values, whereas Adidas demands it through auditing and interventions that help drive systematic change. Social responsibility issues like data privacy have grown in importance in recent years. Adidas recently had a data breach where a third-party provider inadvertently exposed customer contact details. There was no financial data compromise, but the need for stronger oversight and proactive protection measures is glaringly obvious, demonstrated by their subpar privacy policy. ASICS has not had a comparable breach, but due to their apps and tracking tools collecting customer information, safeguarding is needed. It's seen in their information security principle, which is both proactive with protection and responsive to threats. To summarize, Adidas excels in scale, ambition, and transparency relating to sustainability and social responsibility, but struggles with data privacy protection. ASIC's data protection is proven to be effective and proactive, but their cautious yet consistent approach to environmental sustainability has led to slow progress, and their dismal supply chain ethics cause them to be lacking in comparison to Adidas. ASICS must strengthen their supply chain ethics and accelerate its environmental efforts, while Adidas must address its data protection policies. This will allow both companies to strengthen their verifiable sustainability practices, maintaining consumer trust and long-term impact. I'm going to hand over to Sebastien one last time so he can highlight the key points of this presentation.
To summarize, Adidas and ASICS share commitment to innovation and sustainability but differ in focus. While Adidas emphasizes global dominance, style, and cultural relevance, blending sport and fashion, ASICS prioritizes science, well-being, and performance, appealing to serious athletes and health-conscious consumers. Adidas leads in scale, ambition, and transparency. However, ASICS progresses more cautiously but consistently, especially in data protection. Adidas attracts a younger, trend-driven consumers, whereas ASICS resonates with an older, performance-oriented runners. Both brands sit in the premium range, but Adidas edges ahead in style perception, while ASICS is trusted for function and injury prevention. The overall takeaway is that Adidas thrives by merging sport and lifestyle, while ASICS succeeds by staying true to performance and well-being. Their contrasting strategies highlight two distinct but complementary approaches to competing in the sportswear industry.